We have communities that need access to a grocery store, but we don't have access to a grocery store. We stopped teaching people how to grow food, where food comes from. The concept of what we put on our plates and put in our mouths versus what we see out here is a very disconnected thing in today's society. Right now we're just north of Anderson. We're driving out in the countryside, and amongst what most people consider farming here. So we got a lot of corn and soybeans out here. Every now and then there's a wheat field, and that's what we see all over Indiana, rural Indiana. Here on the west side of Anderson, there's been a lot of exodus of places to purchase food, places to get food outside of fast food restaurants, and a lot of the grocery stores have moved pretty much on the east and south sides of town. There's not a lot of options over here. So we're here on the north side of Anderson with what used to be a grocery store, a Marsh, and a scene that we see far too often, not only here in Anderson, but really across the country, where there once was a thriving grocery store. Now we have just an empty building.
Over the last 50 years, we have moved from more natural eating to buying our groceries with boxed products. It has included a lot of adverse things that have been added to our foods that have led to a marked increase in heart disease and strokes and heart attacks in our society over the last 100 years.
I think you can tie a big part of that back to how people eat and what they eat.
When you're living in an area with food access issues, the big thing to start with is transportation.
There's nowhere for somebody who doesn't have a vehicle to get to food.
A lot of rural areas have even more food insecurity than what people in town have. You get 20 miles away from here, out in rural Madison or Tipton County, and you're 20 miles away from going to get anything.
Madison County rates poorly among the 92 counties of Indiana. We have a lot of food insecurity here, but that's not atypical. You can find that everywhere in the country.
We need systemic change. We can't blame people for not succeeding in an impossible situation.
You're surrounded by food, but you're hungry. It is almost ironic, but it's what we deal with in the United States.
In 2015, we kind of came up with the idea of just a small cart outside the employee entrance where people could bring their excess produce.
We wanted some healthier options, and people have gardens, and we thought they might want to share some.
Didn't get a whole lot of use that first year, so this next season, I just proposed that perhaps we try and have a small garden out behind the hospital.
It started with 2 raised beds. And within that summer, it became 24 raised beds.
We have employees who have helped grow this vegetable garden on the backside of the hospital. It has blossomed to where they educate patients and they teach them how healthy it is to eat a plant-based diet.
It was such a good idea, they came back to us and they said, "We want you to dream big."
And I will never forget the phone call that evening. She said, actually, they want a farm.
It is working remarkably well. The garden impacts the employees, the farm impacts the community. We noticed a lot of people were coming by and just stopping and visiting. They just liked being out here and they liked hearing about it. There was a lot of interest in it. And so from that point we thought, let's make this bigger. Let's add a community center. Let's add a greenhouse. Let's add some of these other things that could really take it to the next level.
The farm can be one of those supporting cogs in the wheel to make sure nobody goes hungry.
It was extremely exciting to me to think that this could be a small answer. One farm at one hospital is not going to solve a food insecurity problem, but is it going to help some people and make a difference? I believe absolutely it will.
We can develop this farm project to teach local society about how healthy it is to grow our own fruits and vegetables from the ground up.
It just seemed like a natural extension, so we were really excited to be a part of it.
The foundation is constantly encouraging the hospital to be innovative and imaginative and try to come up with long-term solutions to problems.
When I saw the first drawings of what this particular place could be, the final, it was just overwhelming to me that, we could have something so nice and so big and so enjoyable and that could produce so much.
We had the plan. We had everything ready to go. KRM is our architects. They had everything drawn up, all the drawings. We were literally days away from finally starting this project. But that was in March of 2020, and we know what happened in March of 2020. And really, just like this, it went away. I mean, it was gone. There was a lot of uncertainty. There was a lot of concern, fear. There's a lot of resolve also, but we weren't sure what we were about to encounter.
Well, initially it was very, disheartening to think that we weren't going to be able to move forward with this project that's so badly needed in this area. But, Tom Bannon, and I talked, and the board talked, and everyone was on board that, as soon as we could get started, that we were going to do it one way or the other.
But as it kept going, and as we would have surge after surge, and it get farther and farther away, you started thinking, maybe this isn't going to happen.
People weren't working. People were being sent home. So I really didn't know if this was ever going to come back. I know it was always in Tom's mind that we're going to do this sometime. We just kept delaying it. And COVID caused a lot of problems on this project.
Costs had changed. The supply chain was an issue now that wasn't when we were getting ready to start this.
Putting it on the shelf was hard, knowing that this was such a unique project and would have had such a huge impact on this community in this part of Anderson and Madison County.
The need for healthy food and education is not going to go away. If anything, we need it more now than we did before.
Really, I don't think our foundation ever wavered on the fact that this is the right thing to do for the community. This is what the foundation is all about. This is what Community Hospital Anderson's all about.
So we'd gone through truly 3 years of not forgetting this project, still wanting to do this project, trying to find out when the right time was, trying to get those approvals, and then finally we got the green light.
We are getting ready to head from our KRM downtown Anderson office out to the farm to see how construction is going. So right now we are on the construction site for the community farm. This is actually owned by the Community Hospital Foundation in Anderson. This is at the far back edge of the Community Hospital campus. This project is the next step in that evolution of the farm, so we're adding some infrastructure, different structures to support that process, and then actually expanding the size of the farm here.
One of the ultimate goals of this farm is to have an inclusive experience into farming and what it takes to grow and be able to walk through everything. So there will actually end up being a walk path that comes through this fruit orchard where you can walk through the trees, see the trees, maybe at the right time of year be able to pick some produce off the trees. And you can walk around, see the beehives, see the tomato plants, see everything else we have growing on a nice walk path, and spend some time out here. Enjoy the sun when it's nice and warm, and do things like that.
A project like the farm has the benefit of scale, and so it can bring people together.
So in the building, we will do educational cooking classes and preservation classes. So not only are we going to teach people how to cook with fresh produce, but we're going to teach them how to take fresh produce and preserve it so they can enjoy it throughout the entire winter.
So the idea is the chef or whoever is teaching the course would stand. There's going to be a range right in the middle there. I mean, that's the power of this place, is the ability to literally go harvest something and come in and immediately create something from that.
The benefit of having the building is that we can have groups of people come in that get to enjoy a beautiful building and get to enjoy a beautiful farm, and do it all right here at one spot.
Everybody working on this program has just, I felt like, stayed true north to this is what we're here for, and these are all the pieces that we have to do to get there, and that's powerful.
The last, month is always kind of a frantic period in construction, but it's also really rewarding because you're seeing, all those things, we spent months drawing and designing, really coming to life and coming together.
It was an emotional time for me because I knew that this was going to be something that would have an impact that people could only imagine, and that the reality was going to be better than the imagination.
Go ahead and get started. What a terrific turnout. Appreciate you all being here. This is a very special day for us. This was a long time coming.
And this is one of the ways that we give back, and I really think if the founders of the plan to build Community Hospital could see this today, they would say this is exactly what we wanted you to do.
14 years ago, I walked into Community Hospital that close to death, and I was rescued. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Community Hospital today. As a grateful patient, I wanted to give back something to Community Hospital. Everyone who came and built this garden from the bottom up are the ones who really should be given credit for this project. It was a labor of love for them, and I really thank you, Michelle and Betsy, and all the other volunteers of the hospital who made this work.
In the 2.5 years I've been here, I've gotten to see the farm go from what it was to growing into this.
3, 2, 1.
It really is a combination of education and access issues that we're facing. And I think that's what's great about the Jetty Center and this project is it's not just addressing the scarcity of resources, it's also addressing the fact that people have to be educated and have to really have a cultural shift to understand how to incorporate those vegetables into their daily lives, into their menus, into the meal plans in their homes and with their children.
The most important thing is the education of the population. That's why I think it's really great with the expansion of our farm initiative to include this very nice farmhouse, meeting house, but I think that we can give a lot of education to local kids in the community.
That's the plan for this, a bigger impact on the community. So at first we did 1.5 acres, now it's 3 acres. We used to do 15,000 pounds of produce. Now we can do up to 30,000 pounds, we think, of produce. Produce that is all distributed free of charge throughout the community. We now have about 300,000 bees and gallons of honey.
Unbelievable amount of food being produced, so it's pretty amazing.
The farm project has actually produced several thousand pounds of fresh vegetables to give to our local food pantries.
It's exhilarating. I mean, you walk into this building and it is so beautiful. They did a wonderful, wonderful job, and it's the space is just so open and airy, and the windows and the whole landscaping that is going to be finished. What I love most about it is the fact that it's going to be open for people to come and learn about how to grow their own food.
We started this with just a few raised beds, and now look what this has become. Never in my wildest dreams when we first started this did we think that would ever happen.
I'm hoping we can really carry it forward and use it to its best potential.
This is what community hospital is all about. Getting back to the basics of healthy living. It's more than just taking care of people who are sick, but actually making us live healthier and longer and being better stewards of this planet.
Everybody has to eat. If we can help everybody, doesn't matter how much you make, where you live, what you do, if we can help you be able to grow your own food and learn how to make things with that food, then we've accomplished the goal.
You know, I think the narrative of Anderson being a struggling former GM town is becoming an old narrative. We're starting to see growth, and we're starting to see new things, and the community farm in a lot of ways is symbolic of that. All the growth out here is representative of what's happening in Madison County. When I am here, there's a great sense of accomplishment. There's a great sense of teamwork. This is a project built by the people of Madison County for the people of Madison County, and I have a lot of pride in that.
Really interested to see how the farm evolves over the next 10, 15, 20 years. Once the community gets a hold of it, who knows what they'll turn it into.